Welcome to Carpus Dominus, the Blanking Chronicles. You find us here today on Crown Lake, which is a 30-acre gravel pit, and it's incredibly windy today. So, it's the intro done. Let's find out what we're doing. Right, so just going to show you a quick mix that I've been using on the lake, and it's pretty simple. So, what we've got is a mixture of 12mm and 15mm Lincoln cell boilies, just for a bit of different colour, and I'm not using a lot. At all. You know, I'm only putting minimal amounts of bait over the lake floor. These fish are smart. They know what bait looks like, so we've got to keep it small and simple. And moving on, I like to coat my baits in the stick mix. Obviously the Link one, you know, it's a fish meal, smells really bad, but gets the water, gets the smell up in the columns. So what I do is coat that over the boilies first, and then mix it up. That's that. Small. Next I go in with some hemp. Again, this will keep them grubbing around. I don't want loads of large food items in the lake. I just want them to be hitting my baited spot and hitting my rig. And then of course we've got good old faithful golden kernel. And again, just a small amount of that. After that, mix it up. Now this is enough for about 3 to 4 small spoms of bait over 2 rods. Just to finish it up, I'll add more liquid, like so. Final mix. Now I will leave this in the bucket to ferment now. Evening, so you find us here. It's now 20 past 8 on the first night. It's been an interesting one today. So about half an hour after the rod's been into the water, had a run, snagged me straight up in some weed. You know, it was looking like it was going to be a crack off. Wrestled with it, decided to let some line out, continue playing line out while trying to keep a bend in the rod, just keeping tension on whatever I was anchored on. Fish managed to get off, and that was gone. So gave it a few more hours and noticed that, you know, there's a big northeasterly right now blowing right into where I am. So I thought a change of tactics, seeing as though 2 of my rods got wiped out with floating silkweed, so you know how that can get sometimes. So moved 2 rods over to a heli, still fishing a solid bag, but 2 rods and a heli over a bed of bait. How hopeful I am, I'm not too sure. I've seen a couple showing a little bit further on from a baited spot, but yeah, we'll have to see where the night takes us. This lake is known for doing fish at night. Unfortunately, I'm fishing in a spot which is shallow. So I'm fishing in about 3 to 5 foot deep. The reason for that is because the next couple of mornings are going to be particularly warm. You know, a lot of sunlight, 20 degrees. I know the fish will hold up here first thing in the morning. Now, as for nights, there is a gravel bar just past where it slopes off. It's about 18 foot, so I've got a solid bag there. So just in case there is one that swims into the area, we might catch them off guard. But in terms of nighttime bites, I reckon we're not going to see much. So yeah, we'll keep with the 2 helis, fishing a fairly short, you know, just an 1.5 inch chod, nothing major. I don't seem to be getting taken out because I was getting a lot of noise, especially from my bobbins going up and down as they were blowing through the swim. I'm not seeming to get that right now, so I'm not fishing on hard spots. I'm really not. It is a tough one tonight. But you know, we've got all of tomorrow and we've got the following day, and now we have geese as well. Oh my god. Wow. That is just the swim we're in. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we get one. Yeah. So let's talk about the lake. The lake is 16 acres. Normal sized gravel pit, we wouldn't really mind with that. However, middle depths, 50 foot. So when you take 16 acres and times that by 50 foot, you know, it really is margin fishing here. You're fishing a couple of wraps out and you're fishing to, you know, reed lines and under trees and all that sort of jazz. This lake is a particularly hard lake and was a lake I really did want to start the Blanking Chronicles on, purely because if you're going to blank anywhere, this is the spot you're going to do it, right? So we'll see how it goes. You know, we're in the right swim. The swim does do fish. The swim next door does fish. You know, for a lake that's only got about 10 or 12 pegs, you know, only 3 or 4 actually do fish. So we're in the right spot. Bait wise, you know, I'll show you the baiting approach later on in the video. Keeping it simple because it's so deep, making sure it's highly attractive. So I've gone with a really stinky fish meal, but we will see what the night holds. I don't expect to be showing you guys a fish tonight. I'd like to think if we do get on them, we'll get on them tomorrow morning, hopefully. But right, let's talk rigs then. So for this lake, the majority of the lake is a gravel bottom. The swims I'm swimming in, obviously it's a lot shallower, which means there's going to be weed, you know, silkweed, Canadian, all that sort of stuff floating about, with a massive northeasterly as well. Got some really bad undertows. When I'm bringing back the lines, it's coated all the way up with weed, really annoying. So what I've been trying to do to sort of combat that is I've moved over to solid bags. They work better, but it's still not ideal with an undertow. I started off with a heli, fishing a small chod, but the same thing was happening. So at least solid bags, I'm a bit more confident in them, because at least I know there's a ball of bait around my rig. Probably recasting every 5 to 6 hours, same sort of spot, but that's just for my own peace of mind to know that I'm sitting clean. So I'll show you the rig I use. So the business end is the Corda Dark Matter Leader. Now this is really good, it's leadless, you know, I've been using them for a while. It's loop to loop, it's out of the bag, and it's obviously got additional tungsten bits which pin it down to the lake floor, which is wonderful. I think this is in 50-pound breaking strength. I've never had any issues with this breaking off. I doubt I ever will. You buy one, I think I've used this one probably for 4 to 5 times now, and that's sessions, by the way, you know, 2-3 nighters, so no issues with that. And I fish inline, obviously with solid bags, always like to fish inline. The smallest lead is normally what I like to go for. Now I'm using these small square 2.5 ounce dumpy leads, again the Corda ones. I just prefer a smaller lead. I like to fish small solid bags. I don't like fishing medium or large. Reason for that is I think a medium or a large solid bag is too much bait, especially if you're feeding over a baited area. I want it to be attractive, but I don't want it to be too obvious. Of course, wary carps, the old ones, the smart ones, the big dark ones, know exactly what them big balls of bait are, and they'll avoid it like the plague, which is not ideal. So that's why I tend to use a step down range. Moving down to the business end, so what we've got is we've got a looped figure of 8 loop knot with 3.5 inch of soft braid, 25-pound breaking strain I believe, which goes down to a size 6 curve shank hook. Now the size 6 curve is my favourite hook, and what I do is I will run shrink tube nearly halfway down the shank because I prefer it, and it still gives me that leeway when my bait is floating just on top. Now a lot of things people don't do, which is something you need to do. If I pull the lead out, it's obviously got a quick change swivel. Now, let me pull this off. So right there I've got a quick change swivel, and what I like to do is I like to cut, you know, the small part off a anti-tangle sleeve, and I feed it over the quick change part. Now the reason for that is this soft braid can slip through that quick change hook so easily, right? So that's again just peace of mind that I know that, you know, if I get a take and the lead goes one way and the rig goes one way, that the rig's not going to come away from the lead. Again, fish safety, but super important. And then the other thing really to note is I don't push this in all the way, this lead. So what you'll see is as you shake it, the lead comes free. That's for fish safety. Really important that you make sure the lead comes away from the rig end. A fish can eject a bait, especially these which are barbless. They can eject that quite easily, whether it's rubbing it against some reeds, against the lake bed, whatever it be. Fish know how to get hooks out of their mouths. What they can't do is have a lead trailing down from their mouth, because, you know, that will get stuck, and ultimately, you know, fish could die from that. So super important you're careful about that. So that's the sort of rig I'm using right now. Right, there you go. That's the last morning Final bait up, a few spods over each rod, 2 rods out right now, got 1 more that's about to go out in a solid bag. I'm going to plot that around for the rest of the morning, only got a few more hours, so I want to make the most of my time while I'm here. So yeah, let's see what happens, see if we can convert something to a bite. Had a tench the early hours of this morning, not ideal, not what we was after, but you know, at least I know the spots fish are feeding on it, so in the future when I do come back, I'm going to go back to those spots and that'll be my starting point. So yeah, let's see what happens. Right, well I've got some time now, quickly just to talk you through the sort of bait I'm using. So I'm using 3 solid bags over a very small baited area, 3 different separate baited areas, each one only with 4 spods, and you would have seen the spod mix previously. So because I'm using link boilies, link wafters, really simple, straight out the bag, no dramas, they do the job. You know, these are 15mm and I want it to be the most attractive in that whole solid bag ball. It fits in with everything else that I put on the lake bed, it just floats around, so it just looks nicely presented above my hook. Then I've got my Old Faithful. Now this is a tub of pineapple boilies. They're 15mm, but these have been soaking in isotonic goo for so long now. Whoa. And they are strong. This gets me out of trouble a lot of the time, and it's one of my go-to baits. So pineapple wafters with the isotonic goo, can't go wrong. And then on my 3rd rod, I've got some Essential IB wafters, again coated in that isotonic glue, and again they just smell phenomenal. Look at them, amazing. Now the IB and the isotonic seems to be a really good combination together. It's a summer smell in my eyes. I do quite well in the summer with it. Fishing deep lakes like this one, you know, the link is really good because it blends in with everything, sorry. But when I'm looking to get a bite, you know, in that deep water, it's dark down there, so the only thing the fish have got to go off is smell and maybe the odd fleck of colour. So I'll try and use something bright, but predominantly I'm relying on, you know, high scent, a lot of goo, and you know, I like to soak my pots for months. The boilies don't really, these pop-ups and wafters, they don't really go off. You know, I buy them at the start of the season, I soak them the first month, and then I use them throughout the whole season, summer, autumn, winter, well into my next season, until they run out really. And it's just that edge, and it's just that small edge that other people don't do. Soaking them overnight or soaking them the week before your trip's good, but it doesn't get right into the core, and that's where you want it. You want it in the core, because when water starts to obviously seep into these baits, it releases all that good liquid and that good scent. But when it's gone, it's gone. Hence why I like to make sure they're soaked all the way through. So yeah, so those are the ones, my specials, and these can't go wrong. Failing that, normally when I'm fishing solid bags, I normally throw out slow sinking corn. I've got a pink one, an orange one, and a white one. I'll always put one on each rod. Whichever one does the bite first, that's the one I change all 3 to. Yeah. Well, unfortunately guys, no fish in this trip. You know, we've done 48 hours, very difficult water. And like I said, the reason this series is called the Blanking Chronicles is just, you know, real life angling, no privileges, you know, no bait sponsorships, no tackle sponsorships, just one guy, he enjoys fishing, out and about, trying to catch a few fish and have a good time in the meantime. So it's the end of episode 1. Join us back for episode 2, where we will most likely be attacking a different water, possibly the same water. Like I said, the fish in here are tremendous, so we'll see how it goes. I'll make the decision closer to the time, but other than that, you know, like, subscribe, follow, and follow us on Instagram as well. Give us a shout out, appreciate that. Have a nice one.